The Zamfara state government has reiterated its stance against reconciling with bandits, declaring that no internal or external pressure will force the administration to negotiate with them. However, the fight against bandits in the state rages on as the current governor of the state has vowed to crush banditry in the state. Joining us now on the show as we look at the fight against banditry in Zamfara state and the view of northern Nigeria concerning the August planned protests is Samaila Musa, National Coordinator, Northern Grassroots Mobilization, and former spokesperson for the Coalition of the Northern Groups. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Well, Malam.
Thank you for having me. But just to quickly correct, is Grassroots Mobilization Initiative.
All right.
That's the name of the organization.
Grassroots Mobilization.
Grassroots Mobilization Initiative.
Okay. Is Grassroots Mobilization Initiative
Yes.
one of those civil society groups from the northern part of Nigeria that have been saying, look, they do not support the idea of any kind of violent protests, and that the youths, the persons who have grievances about the governance process should opt for dialogue? Where does your group stand with regard to this major conversation about protest?
Okay, so there's so much anger in the land. A lot of people are not happy because of the way prices and, there's some kind of hardship in the land. It's obvious people are complaining, prices are rising and all that, and people are suffering. And I believe, or you will believe with me, this is some of the reasons why people are actually calling for this protest. But our own position is, look, if the protests can be orderly and peaceful, yes, people have the right to protest. But honestly, I'm afraid, and we're afraid, that with the level of anger right now in the country, especially in the north as it is, we've seen cases where truckload of foodstuff belonging to traders maybe got spoiled somewhere on the road, and people just move in and start offloading it, helping themselves out. And that's without any riot, without any rancor anywhere whatsoever. It was just maybe an ordinary person trying to supply some of his customers and all that, and people go in there and loot the whole thing. How much more was going to happen when you call for a mass protest? To what extent can the police curtail the excesses, because that is going to come up when you have situations like this of the criminal elements among the protesters to say they're not going to start looting people's properties, vandalizing ordinary citizens' properties, cutting away their goods. Because when you have mass protests like this, I believe, and it's almost like nationwide, the thing is going to happen. What number of policemen do you want to deploy that can actually, curtail all these excesses we're afraid of? So really, our position is very clear. The government has gotten the message, in our belief. And perhaps let's have some dialogue. Let the presidency come out and address people and, sympathize with them, that we understand what you're going through. We get the message. We're doing all we can. But essentially, whatever that can be done to say, look, this protest, let's put a hold to it. Maybe we give timelines, but let the government do everything they can to say, please deploy anything peaceful, right, to pacify the anger in the land. That's our position.
All right. Thank you for stating your position this morning. Let's talk about banditry in Zamfara state. As I mentioned, the governor, Governor
Right.
Dauda Lawal, has said he's not negotiating with the bandits. And there was a video that had come out earlier this year with them calling for, some form of negotiation. Yet he's saying he's going to crush banditry. How does he hope to do that? Because he's 1 year in office now and the problem still persists. What is the solution? Is there an end in sight?
Okay, so the problem of banditry, especially in that region, especially Zamfara State, is been on for a very long time now, as we all know. I think one of the most important thing in leadership is actually charisma. I think one of the things you will give to the governor is he came in with a charisma that, come on, I've just come to work. You don't go to negotiations table from the position of weakness. We saw how some people did it in the past and it's not working, So really, I think Governor Dauda Lawal is actually doing the right thing, going in the right direction, because if you want to negotiate with these people, you don't give them room to say, because we're afraid of you, that's why we're negotiating. So you need to be firm, you need to be stern, you need to go all out for them. If they want to negotiate, let it be that they also are calling for it, like the way you want the negotiations to happen, let it be it's coming from both ends. Because when you keep begging them all the time, they're definitely going to go back. They already know
gotten to a state where we're begging
is kind of weak in that direction.
Mr. Musa, have we gotten to a place where we're begging bandits? Because what I would want to assume is that
we saw that happen.
All right. So these are criminals, and
go ahead.
They ought to be brought to the book. Brought to book. What is? And that's why I asked the question. Since he's not negotiating, what are some of the efforts that are being made? Yes. And maybe this is a good time to also ask in terms of the relationship between him and the Minister of State for Defense, who was also a former governor of the state, because in the past there had been talk about him not working with him to quash this menace, that's facing the people of Zamfara State.
Yeah, so I think, let me address the first one, that if we have gotten to the extent of begging, we saw how it happened in the past. Like the former governor of the state you mentioned literally was begging them when he came in on board, but that it didn't really change anything. Rather, it started multiplying. And also, let me even quickly jump that just recently, last week, a notorious bandit, perhaps the biggest one in Zamfara State, Bello Turji, made a video which is going viral to accuse the former governor of some level of involvement with the bandits. And I'm appalled, and the reason why I'm appalled is up till this moment, with all the effort put into curbing this menace in that state or in that region, no one has come out to debunk the allegations, to say, of all the things this guy said, none is true. I'm really, it bleeds your heart sometimes when you feel this is something that has claimed the lives of thousands of people, and yet you have this kind of grievous allegation, and not just to a former governor, a sitting minister of defense, for example, Minister of State for Defense. It's really, really saddening. It's really saddening in the light that he's not the only minister from the north. I think one of the major things, or what I feel you need to give kudos to this administration, President Tinubu, is that he felt, one of the major, because when he came in, the north had to let him know that the major problem confronting the north is issue of insecurity. And he said, let's give them the Minister of State for Defense, the main minister, the substantial Minister of Defense, all from the same region. We saw another Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris, from the same region. So he feels this perhaps will solve the problem. And now if we have one of these three key guys who are in the spotlight to bring an end to this, having this kind of heavy allegation on his head, I think what happens in saner climes is to such individuals to even want to quit or say, well, investigate me, but let me resign. or let the presidency save this administration of this baggage this man is bringing into this government, because we have about 10 or more than that ministers from the north, good guys, gentlemen doing their jobs.
Okay,
and if we have this kind of baggage, because the issue of
Mr.
yes, go ahead, please.
Musa. Okay, I'll take a quick break, and I'll come back to you. We'll be right back. So we still have Mr. Ismaila Musa, National Coordinator, here with us, and former spokesperson for the coalition, of Northern Groups. A couple of things. Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Excellent.
I can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good. Good morning to you.
I can, yes.
Isn't what you're saying
Yeah, good morning, thank you. Yes.
a contrast? In one breath, you are praising President Tinubu for appointing you from the north to head the security, because the north complained about massive insecurity. And in another breath, you are castigating his appointees because of allegations of complicity. Are you not saying invariably that President Tinubu's appointment process is faulty? Because he cannot make such appointment. Let me finish now, please. He cannot make such appointments without security checks and clearance. So are you saying that President Tinubu's appointment process is faulty? Because there's no how any minister is put in the country without security clearance. So that's why I say what you're saying is a contrast. You're praising him on one hand, but you've also castigated him because his decision-making process is faulty based on your allegations by Bello Suji. That's my question to you, sir.
Okay, so all right. So first is that you have to give it to him that he identify the most volatile region in the north to say, well, this is where is the hotbed right now. Where are the flashpoints? These bandits are all concentrated around that region. And by trying to say, well, because I also know to a large extent how some of these appointments were being done in, past administrations, how a committee is being set up and all of that. But of course, the president has, the sole discretion to say, oh, I want this person in this place and all that. But you see, what I'm saying in essence is that the fact that he even gave those 3 slots to that region is worthy of commendation. Whether you like it or not, that is the absolute truth. Now, we're talking about the processes, whether it's faulty. Well, if you say it's faulty, I don't know what process they actually or how they arrive at that. But I tell you one thing that I'm also privy to is that a lot of times in politics, you want to compensate some people who perhaps work during the campaigns to bring you to power and all of that, which is nothing wrong. It happens all over the world, But at the same time, it's not everyone who has worked for the success of a candidate to emerge as the president that must be given an appointment. This man has weighty allegations. Perhaps the committee saddled with that responsibility. Perhaps somehow, he was able to scale through. Maybe some of these allegations were not out at that time. Because if people like Turji, who himself is a notorious bandit, did not come out, perhaps some of these things would just be mere say. So, and how else would you verify or find out if this man, because he was at the helm of affairs. So ordinarily you would think, yes, he was there. The number his number one job description is to provide security in the state.
Mr. Smala,
but
would you respect?
By and large,
Would you respect?
Having gone this far, and this kind of allegations are coming up, I'm saying it's never too late.
Mr. Smala,
he himself can do the most honorable thing by resigning.
Mr. Smala,
a lot of times people resign. I mean, it's something happened in America recently.
Can you hear me?
Where there was an attempt at Donald Trump's life.
Can you hear me?
Somebody has resigned her position.
Mr. Smala,
simply because that thing happened. So this is what we're saying. If these allegations are this weighty and nobody has come out to debunk them, perhaps maybe Turji was drunk when he was making that video. We love to know, but nobody has said a word. And these are not ordinary citizens.
Can you hear me?
These are people who are occupying positions in government. So it is actually saddening
Musa,
when you see things like this happen.
Mr. Musa, can you hear me?
What we're saying essentially is not even whether the process was faulty or not, but
Mr.
right
Musa,
now,
I believe you can hear us.
is there a remedy? Can it be remedied or not?
No,
or is this how we're going to continue?
We'll go to
At each point where you realize that some things are not right, you have to. And I'm sure the National Security Advisor should either be listening to this or is also aware of that video. And I think the president by now should know that, yes, he's got some good guys
Musa,
in his government. But of course, when you realize some people are going to be a serious baggage, you definitely need to drop them. And if they're not doing the most honorable thing. And in the past, we said, when Buhari was there, one of our...
Okay, we'll go to a quick break. We'll come back. I'm obviously sure you couldn't hear me. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to the morning show there. Sorry for that slight itch. Mr. Smaila Musa, you're still there, and we're still having the conversation. And the question I was asking was, can you hear me, Mr. Isa? Mr. Musa, can you hear me? Mr. Musa, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so what we'll just do is we'll see if we can, connect to him, but I pretty much doubt if we can. But the conversation was about the insecurity in Zamfara State and the allegations he said Bello Turji made against the former governor minister of current Minister of State for Defense and how that is going. And we're just pretty much trying to clear the air as regards you. If you say President Tinubu made the right decision, but the security forces are supposed to vet through the people that become ministers. You can't be taking a position and saying Bello Turji said this against the former governor without you indicting the security authorities. I mean, we all saw the likes of El Rufai that never got ministerial positions because they didn't clear with, the process of vetting. You have to go through the security authorities. So, what? Okay, so Mr. Musa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. So what I was saying is that invariably, even with your explanation, you still keep indicting.
No,
hang on a minute.
You've made your point. I was
let me finish. Let me finish. I've not asked a question. I say even with your explanation, you still keep indicting the president. The first point, your premise, is that the president did well.
I still what?
You keep indicting the president. Your premise is the president did well by picking somebody from the north as regards fighting insecurity, which was based on the concerns of people. But the part that falls short in the argument for me is the fact that now you are saying the president could have picked anybody. He did well by picking people, but he did not know that this man, had relations, as alleged by Bello Turji, with insurgency. And you are putting the Bello Turji point front and center. And I'm asking, are you saying that the president did not do a thorough job? Because the security authority will definitely vet. People like El Rufai were not cleared. So the problem is the administration fell short on the vetting process and the clearance. The fact that we're even talking about Bello Turji's points is sad enough. But if you, as you are now doing, upholding Bello Turji's points, that is a level of complicity, the question is, where did the ball drop as regards vetting? Is it an indictment on this administration?
Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you one thing, right? There's no system that is 100% perfect.
So the system failed?
We are grassroots mobilization initiative.
Would you accept the system failed as regards
let me explain. Let me explain myself. You just made your point. I need to make mine as well. There is no any system that is 100% perfect. But what we are saying specifically is that where they have done well, we will commend them for doing well. Where they have gone wrong, we will also say it. Nobody is trying to defend anyone, but what I'm saying is that, people have been appointed into positions even in advanced climes where they later, fell out or they realized some things about them. Some of them resigned, quite a number of them resigned, I would say. So it can happen anywhere. But what I'm saying is we're talking about now. There's no point brooding over what has happened during the process or did not happen. It's about now. Let's assume some people overlook it, because when you say the president failed, or the president is not going to be the one. No, I'm putting it to you that if you say the president failed in that regard, I'm saying, well, it's not the president who will do the vetting. Some people did. So however way he was able to scale through that is not even the most important thing. Musa. But what is important right now at this juncture is that, let me land, please. What is important at this juncture
I need to bring up
is that
something
this
more important.
allegation is here now.
All this hair splitting, I'm not interested in it. I want to ask you, you quoted Bello Turji.
All right.
Bello Turji was saying that a former governor. Yes. What is the name of that former governor? Was he referring to Matawale?
He mentioned it.
Was he referring to Yari?
Matawale. He was referring to Matawale.
Okay, it's important that we establish that.
Matawale, yes.
Okay, 2. Now, Bello Turji, in several interviews, also made the point that the problem in Zamfara is ethnic. That the crisis started when, the Hausas were trying to introduce Sharia to oppress the Fulanis. Now, the present governor, Dauda Lawal, says if he's in control of the security outfits in the state, he will solve the problem within a matter of weeks. Do you think he can, as state governor?
Well, okay, so he's also just spent a year in office, just a year and just a couple of months, so perhaps it's too early to begin to give a pass mark or mark him down. But you see, what is important is that he came in from the day one, from the word go. He started doing the right thing, taking the right steps in the right direction. We saw how he was going from pillar to post, traveling from Zamfara to Abuja, meet with the chief of defense staff, meet with this one, and, all trying to see how can there be a synergy to combat this problem? How can there be a working relationship, even though perhaps he's from even a different party, but still yet, even interfacing with the National Security Advisor to see how there can be an end. Because you see, and that's why it pains me when we begin to trivialize some of these issues. We're talking about human lives here. People are dying in their hundreds of thousands in a particular state. And we are trying to begin to bring politics into it, which is not called for. What we are saying is that, please, whatever means, whoever needs to put their, synergize with each other to bring an end to these senseless killings, let them do so. This is what we're calling for. But what we're saying is we've also seen some action being taken by this man. We need to commend him where he has done well. From day one that he's gone into office, you would think it's only the security aspect that he has come to solve, because he's been all over the place talking. There's no week that he's not doing something about security issues. And that's why we also are saying, well, let's give kudos to whoever is doing well.
Okay, Mr. Samuel Musa, well, thank you.
The approach is going to be holistic. Both the federal and the state government need to work in synergy to bring an end to these senseless killings. It just needs to stop. Okay. And because, you see, this security is an issue that is a fulcrum to which all other things we're talking about, whether it's the economy or whatever, are standing. So without it, there's nothing you're trying to build.
Okay, Mr. Samuel Musa. Thank you very much. We've run out of time. Otherwise, I would have loved to also ask you about Dogo Gide, who is also a creation of Zamfara State, one of those ethnic kingpins you've contributed to the Nigerian situation.